In politics, the line between ideological purity and pragmatism is often razor-thin, but it's a line that Angela Rayner has spectacularly crossed, with disastrous results. Her reckless push for expansive workers' rights legislation, including taxpayer-funded legal aid for employees and state intervention in business lawsuits, has not only alienated Labour's traditional allies but threatens to unravel the very fabric of the party's future. Rayner's fall from grace isn't just a personal failure, it's a harrowing signal of how ideological extremism can derail an entire political movement. The fact that the Labour Party is now on the cusp of expelling her speaks volumes about the need for realism in modern politics. First and foremost, Rayner's proposed legislation is nothing short of a dangerous overreach. A proposal to grant employees legal aid to pursue lawsuits against employers, coupled with the power for the government to sue businesses even when employees opt out, is an affront to the basic tenets of free market economics and personal responsibility. By inflating the role of government in private sector disputes, she is transforming the state from a neutral arbiter to an adversary of business. This is not only a fundamental misstep, it is a reckless abandonment of fiscal prudence, one that threatens to bleed the taxpayer dry. The UK is already facing strained public finances, and these policies would undoubtedly exacerbate the situation. Labour, under the guise of defending the worker, is pandering to union interests while turning a blind eye to the impact on taxpayers, small businesses, and the wider economy. To understand the scale of Rayner's miscalculation, one only needs to look at the growing chorus of critics, from business leaders to moderate Labour MPs. It is telling when even the party's traditional allies, the trade unions, are starting to express reservations. Trade unions, which once viewed the Labour Party as their bedrock, are now at odds with a policy that could endanger the economic stability of the businesses that provide jobs to the working class. Rayner's vision doesn't empower workers, it risks pushing businesses out of the UK, diminishing job opportunities, and reducing economic growth. This isn't a plan for prosperity, it's a recipe for economic stagnation. Moreover, the authoritarian streak embedded in Rayner's proposals cannot be ignored. By granting the government the authority to sue businesses even when employees choose not to pursue claims, she is effectively inviting state intervention into every aspect of private business. This is a dangerous expansion of state power, one that risks creating a climate of fear and uncertainty for employers. The chilling effect this could have on business innovation and investment would be disastrous. Why would any business invest in the UK when its legal and financial obligations are being dictated by an unpredictable, heavily interventionist government? The backlash within Labour is not just from a fringe group of moderates or business leaders, it's coming from within the party's heartland. Labour MPs, especially those representing constituencies that rely on small businesses and middle-class voters, are increasingly uneasy. They are rightly concerned that Rayner's policies will alienate a large portion of their electoral base and tarnish the party's image ahead of the next general election. To suggest that Labour's future success hinges on policies that encourage frivolous lawsuits and alienate business owners is absurd. Rayner's legislation ignores the fact that small businesses are the backbone of the UK economy. They are already struggling under the weight of increasing national insurance contributions, rising minimum wages, and the broader cost of living crisis. The last thing they need is a government that opens them up to a flood of lawsuits and legal battles. Rayner's proposals also serve as a stark reminder of the political dangers inherent in ignoring the broader electorate. Her focus on a narrow, ideologically driven agenda puts the party in direct opposition to those who are deeply concerned about economic stability. Labour's traditional base, working-class voters, are not blind to the fact that businesses are the primary source of jobs and economic opportunity. When the party embraces policies that threaten to decimate small businesses, it risks losing the very voters it claims to represent. Yet, even as Rayner's credibility crumbles under the weight of mounting opposition, she remains determined to shift focus to other areas of policy, including combating Islamophobia and antisemitism. This move reeks of desperation. While addressing discrimination is important, it cannot be allowed to serve as a smokescreen for the complete failure of her workers' rights agenda. Rayner's attempt to pivot to these issues, at this juncture, seems less about genuine policy concerns and more about diverting attention from her disastrous economic policies. The Labour Party is facing an identity crisis, and Rayner's efforts to refocus the narrative only serve to highlight the depth of her misjudgment. At the heart of this crisis is a fundamental divide within the Labour Party. Should it embrace progressive policies that protect workers, or should it adopt a more pragmatic approach that balances workers' rights with economic realities? The fact that this debate is now playing out in such a public and messy way is not a sign of ideological strength, but of division and dysfunction. It is clear that the future of the party depends on its ability to reconcile the needs of workers with the practical realities of a competitive, global economy. In conclusion, Angela Rayner's fall from grace should be a wake-up call for the Labour Party. It is a direct consequence of ignoring the economic realities in favour of populist, ideologically driven policies that alienate key constituencies. If Labour wishes to present a credible vision for the future, it must abandon the fantasy of overreaching state intervention and return to a more balanced, economically sustainable agenda. Rayner's suspension marks the beginning of an inevitable reckoning, and the Labour Party must take a long, hard look at where its future lies, before it's too late.